The old gray safe clicked open. The sound was small, but in the silent house, it echoed like a heavy door slamming shut. Mary Beatty's hand trembled as she pulled the metal door toward her. She squinted into the darkness inside. And she saw it. Nothing. Not a single dollar bill. Not one retirement bond. Not even the deed to the house she was standing in. 45 years of shared life, of working double shifts, of trusting her husband Arthur, had vanished into cold, empty air. The space was a perfect mirror of the feeling that was starting to bloom in her chest. She had finally found what her husband was hiding. He was hiding everything. And it didn't just break her. It erased her. This is Mary Beatty. She is 65 years old. For 45 years she was a wife. For 43 of those years, she was a nurse at St. Jude's Hospital right here in Chicago. She cleaned wounds, she held the hands of scared patients, and she worked Christmas mornings so the younger nurses could be with their kids. All of it was for this moment. For retirement. For the golden years Arthur always promised her. They were supposed to sell this house, buy a small RV, and finally see the Grand Canyon. Arthur handled all the money. "You just worry about saving lives, Mary," he always said, patting her hand. "I'll take care of our future." If you have ever felt taken for granted, if you have ever trusted someone with your whole heart, only to find out they were a complete stranger, this story is for you. We are about to follow Mary on a journey so dark and twisted, you will not believe the ending. If you want to see her get justice, please do us a small kindness and tap that subscribe button. It helps us tell more stories for good people who deserve to have their voices heard. And please comment below where you are watching from. We want to see how far Mary's story is traveling. May goodness and protection find you and your family for supporting her journey. The betrayal had started just 1 hour ago. The house felt too quiet. Arthur, her husband, had left 3 days ago. He said he was going on a fishing trip to Wisconsin with his old army buddies. This was normal. He did this every fall. Mary was in their bedroom packing. She was sorting through old photo albums, deciding what to keep for the RV. She smiled at a picture of Arthur younger, with a full head of hair, holding their son David. They had built a good, honest life. Or so she believed. She was humming a song, dusting the top of their shared oak dresser, when her fingers brushed against something sharp. It was a small silver key. It was tape, tucked deep behind the heavy dresser, hidden from view. Mary frowned. She had cleaned this room 1,000 times in 45 years. She had never ever seen this key. It wasn't for the house. It wasn't for the car. Felt secret. Her heart started to beat a little faster, a sick thump-thump against her ribs. Why would Arthur tape a key behind the dresser? It was the kind of hiding place a guilty teenager would use. A sudden, cold feeling washed over her. She looked at the big painting on the wall, a cheap landscape of the ocean they bought on their honeymoon. Behind it was the safe. Arthur had always been the only one who opened that safe. He would laugh and say the code was too complicated for her to remember. "It's our nest egg, Mary girl," he would say, tapping the metal door. Safe and sound. She always trusted him. Why wouldn't she? He paid the bills. He handled the investments. He balanced the checkbook. Mary just gave him her nursing paycheck every Friday, and he deposited it. For 43 years. Now, staring at the secret hidden key, that trust felt thin. It felt like a sheet of ice, and a tiny crack was starting to form. She looked at the key, then at the safe. She slid the heavy painting aside. The safe was dark gray, built into the wall. She looked closely at the handle. She had never noticed it before, but there was a tiny keyhole, almost invisible, right in the center of the turning handle. Her hand was shaking. This felt wrong. This felt like she was spying. But it was her money, too. It was her retirement. She pushed the small silver key into the tiny hole. Click. A part of the handle she never knew existed popped open. Inside, hidden, was a small keypad. A second layer of security. Her blood ran cold. He had a code and a secret key. But she knew the code. Or she thought she did. He always told her it was their anniversary. 818. August 18th. She slowly, carefully typed in the 3 numbers. Small green light flashed. The heavy door hissed and then swung open with a groan. Mary held her breath, expecting to see stacks of cash, the bonds, and the pink slip for the house. She expected to see their future. But all she saw was gray metal. The safe was completely, totally, shockingly empty. A small, choked sound left her throat. This wasn't real. Had to be a mistake. Arthur must have moved it to a new bank account. He was probably planning a surprise. But then she thought about the fishing trip. His phone had been going straight to voicemail for 2 days. "No service up in the mountains, honey," he had chirped before he left. Now that happy chirp sounded like a lie. Sick, cruel lie. How much was supposed to be in there? Mary knew the number. With her nursing pension and his retirement from the factory, plus their savings, it should have been over $500,000. Enough to last them the rest of their lives. It was all gone. Her eyes scanned the empty box. Whoa, wait. Her heart stopped. There was one thing. Taped to the back wall of the safe. It wasn't money. It was a piece of paper. A yellow sticky note. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely pull it off the wall. It was Arthur's messy, familiar handwriting. It wasn't a love letter. It wasn't an apology. It was just 2 words. 2 words that sealed her fate. 2 words that changed her entire past. She read them over and over, the letters blurring through her tears. The note said, "She's sick. She's sick." Who was she? What did that mean? Was he talking about her? Mary? No, she was perfectly healthy. Was he talking about someone else? A new woman? And what did sick mean? Sick like cancer? Sick like needing money for a hospital? Mary sank to the floor, the empty safe looming over her like an open grave. Her husband hadn't just left her. He hadn't just stolen their future. He had stolen it for someone else. The fishing trip wasn't real. The retirement wasn't real. Nothing was real. And as Mary sat there, broken on the carpet, a new feeling started to mix with the pain. It was cold. It was hard. It was rage. What did Arthur do with the money? Who is the other woman? And how will Mary, a 65-year-old nurse with nothing, get her revenge? Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on your notifications. You are about to watch a woman who lost everything. Take back everything. The 2 words on the yellow note burned in Mary's mind. She's sick. The words just hung in the empty safe. Mary felt like she could not get enough air. Her chest was tight like a rope was pulled around it. Who was sick? And why did sick mean Arthur had to steal their entire life? Their future? Their past? She wasn't just sad. She was cold. A deep, shaking cold that started in her bones. She had given this man her youth, her paycheck, her trust. She thought they were a team. But the empty safe showed her the truth. She had been on a team all by herself. Arthur was playing a different secret game. Mary pulled herself up using the heavy oak dresser. Her knees cracked. The sound was loud in the quiet room. She felt every single one of her 65 years. But she was a nurse. For 43 years she fixed things. She fixed broken bones. She fixed fevers. She could fix this. This had to be a mistake. Terrible, awful mistake. He must have moved the money. He was probably planning a surprise. He had to be. She limped to the small desk in the corner of their bedroom. She opened the old laptop. It was slow. It hummed as it woke up. She typed in the website for their local bank, Chicago Mutual. She put in their username, Arthur. She typed the password. Marygirl818. Their anniversary. The same lie he used for the safe. Page loaded. The colors were bright blue and white. She looked at the number next to checking account. The balance was $150.22. Mary's heart stopped beating. Her paycheck, her big nurse's paycheck, had just gone in 3 days ago. Should have been thousands. Her hand was shaking. She clicked on the savings account. Their rainy day fund. The balance was $10. Just enough to keep the account open. He felt sick. She clicked the activity tab. The list was long. Withdrawal. 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 For the last 6 months. Small amounts at first. $500. Then $1,000. Then 1 week ago. One giant withdrawal. $480,000. Transferred to an account she did not know. It was all gone. What would you do? Right now. In this exact second. If you found out the person you slept next to for 45 years was a thief. Would you cry? Would you scream? Mary did not cry. Not yet. The shock was too deep. It was like a thick fog. He felt nothing. Just empty. Like that safe. But a tiny hot spark was growing in that emptiness. It was anger. She was a good person. She helped people. She did not deserve this. She closed the laptop. The bank could not help her. The police. What would she say? My husband took our money. They would call it a family matter. Well, she was on her own. She had to know. She had to know who was. She thought about Arthur's life. His buddies from the factory. No, she knew them. She had made them sandwiches. His bowling nights. His fishing trips. All of it felt like a lie now. A story he told a child. She walked to the kitchen. The linoleum floor was cold on her feet. The mail was in a neat pile on the counter. The phone bill. It had come yesterday. She always just filed it. Arthur always paid it. Mary stared at the white envelope. She had never, not once, opened the phone bill. She trusted him. With shaking fingers, she ripped the envelope open. The bill was 6 pages long. Pages and pages of small black numbers. She saw her cell phone number. She saw her son David's number in New York. She saw the hospital number. Then she looked at Arthur's calls. Dozens of calls. All to the same number. Over and over. Not his buddies. Not a fishing shop in Wisconsin. A local number. Right here in Chicago. 10 times a day. Sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes at 5 o'clock in the morning. While he was lying right next to her in their bed. He was texting and calling this secret number while she slept. Her mind raced. Who was this person? She grabbed her own cell phone from her purse. Her fingers felt thick and stupid. She could barely hit the right buttons. She slowly typed the 10-digit number. She put the phone to her ear. Her heart was beating so hard, thump, thump, thump. She thought it would break right out of her chest. It rang once. A part of her prayed, please do not answer. Please be a mistake. Please be a business. Third ring. Then a click. A woman's voice answered. Not a young voice. An older voice. Tired. And sick. Hello. The voice whispered. Mary froze. She could not speak. All the air left her lungs. Hello. The voice said again, sounding annoyed. Who is this? Arthur, is that you again? I told you I need. The voice was familiar. So familiar it made Mary's stomach turn inside out. Where did she know this voice from? It was scratchy. Weak. But she knew it. It was the voice of, no. Could not be. It was impossible. It was the voice of her own sister. Her younger sister Clara. Clara, who lived 2 towns over. Clara, who always said she hated Arthur. Clara. She's sick. Her sister. Her own sister. The betrayal was so deep. Mary thought she would faint right there on the kitchen floor. Arthur and Clara. But why? Made no sense. Clara was family. Clara had been at their house for Thanksgiving. Clara had borrowed money from Mary last year for her car. Mary hung up the phone. She didn't say a word. The pieces clicked together in a horrible, ugly picture. The trips. The overtime at the factory. The sudden secret phone calls. It wasn't a new lover. It was something worse. It was a family secret. A betrayal from her own blood. Mary grabbed her car keys. She didn't put on a coat. She didn't grab her purse. She walked out of the house she could no longer call her own. She got in her old Toyota. She drove. She wasn't going to Clara's house. Not yet. The phone bill had an address for that number. It wasn't Clara's house. It was a place she knew. A place she dreaded. A place she sent her sickest patients when there was no hope left. She pulled up to the big brick building. The sign read Sunny Oaks Nursing Home. Mary walked through the automatic doors. She went to the front desk. She asked for the room number. The nurse looked up, smiled, and said, "Oh, you're here to see Clara. She's in 212B. You just missed her husband, Arthur. He left just a few minutes ago." The nurse's words echoed in Mary's ears. You just missed her husband, Arthur. Her husband. Not Mary's husband. Clara's husband. Mary's whole body felt like it was filled with cold sand. She felt heavy. Low. She looked at the door. 212B. This was a nightmare. She had to be asleep. Any second now, she would wake up in her own bed, and Arthur would be there, snoring. But the smell of bleach and old soup in the hallway was too real. The nurse was looking at her. "Ma'am, are you okay?" Mary just nodded. She put her hand on the door to room 212B. It was cold. She pushed it open. The room was large. It was a private room, the most expensive kind. It had a big window with a weak-looking tree outside. And in the bed, there was a small, thin person. Mary had to look twice to see it was her sister, Clara. Clara, who was always loud and wore bright red lipstick. Clara, who always dyed her hair blonde. Now her hair was gone. A soft gray cap covered her head. Her skin was a pale, waxy yellow. Wires and tubes ran from her arm to a beeping machine. The note was right. She's sick. But this wasn't a cold. This wasn't the flu. This was the end of a life. Clara's eyes were closed. She looked like she was sleeping. Mary stood in the doorway, frozen. She should feel sad. She should feel pity for her sister. She was a nurse. She had seen this 1,000 times. But she felt nothing. Just a cold, hard stone in her stomach. She looked at the tray next to the bed. It was covered in bottles of pills. Mary knew those pills. They were new. They were special. They were for a rare kind of cancer. And they cost more than a new car every single month. Her retirement money was not just stolen. It was being burned. It was being poured into these little white pills. "Arthur!" Clara's voice was a dry whisper. Her eyes were still closed. "Did you forget something?" Mary's heart stopped. She had called for him. "Clara," Mary said. Her voice was quiet, but it was as sharp as a knife. Clara's eyes flew open. They were wide, but not with happiness, not with love. Her eyes were filled with pure, terrible fear. "Mary," she gasped. She tried to sit up, but she was too weak. "Mary, what are you doing here? You can't be here." "He's gone," Mary said. She walked into the room, stopping at the foot of the bed. She was a statue. "Arthur. He just left. The nurse told me." "She called him your husband." Clara's pale face turned red. She started to cry. Not sad tears. They were angry, scared tears. "You weren't supposed to find out," she hissed. "He was going to tell you. He was just waiting. You don't understand, Mary. I'm sick. I'm dying." "I can see that," Mary said, her voice cold. "I'm a nurse, remember? I see this every day. But our patients, they don't usually pay with stolen money." Clara looked shocked. "Stolen? It's not stolen. It's his money, too. He wanted to help me. He loves me, Mary. He always loved me. Not you. He told me you were boring. He said you were a good partner, but not a woman he loved. He said he felt sorry for you." The words hit Mary harder than a slap. All those years. 45 years. Lie. Can you feel that? The cut. The betrayal. It's not just the money. It's the words. Boring. He felt sorry for you. What would you say? What would you do? Mary thought she knew all the pain in the world. But this was a new kind of pain. This was from her sister. The girl she grew up with. The girl she protected. "You were at my house for Thanksgiving," Mary whispered. Her mind was spinning. You ate my turkey. You hugged me. You said you were feeling tired. You were sleeping with my husband. And you were lying to my face. Clara's face twisted into an ugly smile. I was tired, Mary. I was tired of watching you have everything. The good job. The good son. The good husband. I deserved some of it. I deserved him. He saw that. When I got sick, he finally made a choice. The money, Mary said, the fog clearing from her head. You planned this. Both of you. You found out you were sick. And you decided my future was the price for your pills. Clara just looked at her. He was going to give you the house. He's not a monster. He was just going to leave you half. He just needed the cash for my treatment. Mary laughed. It was a cold, empty sound. Half. Half of nothing. He took everything. The safe is empty. The bank accounts are empty. He took my pension, Clara. He took 43 years of my life. Clara's face went pale again. No. No, that's not. He said he was only taking his half. For the first time, Mary saw a crack in Clara's story. Tiny bit of doubt. He lied to me, Clara whispered. Mary suddenly understood. Arthur wasn't just lying to her. He was lying to everyone. He was a black hole, pulling everyone's life into the darkness. What about David? Mary asked, her voice shaking. Our son. My son. Does he know? Is he part of this too? Clara's face closed. She looked away toward the window. You should ask him, Clara said quietly. You should ask your perfect son why he hasn't called you in 3 weeks. Mary felt the floor fall away. David. Her son. Well, not him. He was a good boy. He lived in New York. He was busy. But 3 weeks. Had been 3 weeks. He was always so good about calling. Mary backed away from the bed. She couldn't breathe. The room was too small. Her husband was a thief. Her sister was a monster. And her son. Was he part of it? She pulled her phone from her pocket. She had to call him. She had to hear his voice. As she looked at her phone, she saw a new message. It was from a number she did not know. It had one sentence. Mary, stop. Do not call Clara. Do not call Arthur. You are in terrible danger. He is not who you think he is. Go to the police. Now. The phone in Mary's hand felt like a small hot brick. The words on the screen blurred. You are in terrible danger. Danger. The word did not make sense. Arthur was a quiet man. He fixed the sink. He fell asleep watching television. He was a thief. He was a liar. But dangerous. Clara's eyes, full of fear, were still watching her from the bed. Who is it? Clara whispered, her voice like dry paper. Is that him? Is it Arthur? Tell me. Mary looked up from the phone. The woman in the bed was a stranger. Her sister was gone. This sick, weak person was someone who had helped destroy her. You knew, Mary said. Her voice was flat and dead. You knew he was taking the money. You let him. You helped him. Clara started to cry. I needed the medicine, Mary. I didn't want to die. He loves me. He said he would take care of me. Mary took one step closer to the bed. The beeping machine sounded loud in the small room. What about David? Mary's voice finally cracked, just a little. My son. You said to ask him. Is he part of this? Did my son? Did he know you and his father were together? Clara's face twisted. It was a strange look. It was almost pity. David. No. He doesn't know about us, she hissed. Arthur would never tell him that. Arthur worships him. David knows about the money. Mary felt her knees get weak. What do you mean? She whispered. Clara coughed, a long, wet sound. Arthur needed help. To move the money fast. David is good with computers. Arthur told him. He told David you were sick, Mary. He told him you had cancer, and you needed the money moved to a special hospital account. He was helping his father save his mother. Can you feel that? The sickness. Twist. Her own son. He wasn't a monster. He was a victim just like her. He was a good boy, trying to save his mother. But he was helping his father destroy her. The lies were piled so high. Mary did not know which way was up. She was trapped in a house of mirrors. Every person she loved was just a twisted, ugly copy. Mary backed away. She looked at her sister. Her own blood. How could you? Mary said. He told David I was sick. Clara just looked away. I needed the pills. He needed a story. Mary felt a hot, bright anger. It was so strong it burned the tears right out of her eyes. Who sent that text, Clara? Mary demanded, holding up the phone. Who is warning me? What danger? Clara's eyes got wide. I don't know. He knows people. Bad people. From the factory, he said. People who move things. He said he owed them. Mary ran. She didn't say goodbye. She turned and fled the room. She ran down the clean white hallway, past the nurse who had called Arthur Clara's husband. She didn't wait for the elevator. She found the stairs. She ran down the cold concrete steps. Her heart was pounding. He knows bad people. What did that mean? This was not just a man having an affair. This was something else. This was something dark. She burst out of the side door into the bright sunlight of the parking lot. Every car looked wrong. Every person felt like a threat. Was Arthur here? Was he watching her? She got into her old Toyota. She locked the doors. Blick. The sound was small, but it made her feel a little safer. She had to call David. She had to tell him. He was a victim too. She pulled her phone from her pocket. Her fingers were shaking, but she found his name. David. She pressed the green button. She put the phone to her ear. Rang once. She prayed. Please, David, pick up. Tell me you didn't know. The ringing stopped. Cold robot voice came on the line. The number you have dialed has been disconnected. Disconnected. Mary hung up and tried again. The number you have dialed has been disconnected. A new kind of panic set in. It was cold and sharp. You don't just disconnect a phone number you've had for 10 years. Unless you are running. Unless you are hiding. David was gone. He had vanished. Just like the money. Just like his father. Arthur hadn't just left her. He had erased their family. He had cut every rope. Text was right. Go to the police. Now. Mary put the car in drive. She did not go home. That house was a crime scene. She did not go to the bank. The money was just numbers on a screen. She did what the text told her to do. She drove straight to the 19th precinct. The Chicago police station was an old, brown brick building. It looked tired. Parked. She sat in the car for a full minute, her hands gripping the wheel. She was Mary Beatty. She was a nurse. She was a good person. And she was going to get her life back. She got out of the car. She walked up the steps. She pushed open the heavy glass doors. The station smelled like old coffee and paper. A big man with a gray mustache sat behind a high desk. He was the desk sergeant. He was typing on a computer. He did not look up. "Help you," he said in a bored voice. Mary walked forward. Her voice was shaking, but it was loud. "Yes," she said. "I need to report a crime. I need to report my husband. He stole all our money. Over $500,000. His name is Arthur Beatty." The sergeant stopped typing. His fingers froze. He looked up at her. His eyes were not bored anymore. They were sharp and very, very serious. "Arthur Beatty," he said. "Ma'am, you need to come with me. Right now. We've been looking for your husband for 2 days. Arthur Beatty is the main suspect in a murder." The word murder sucked all the air out of the room. Mary grabbed the high desk to keep from falling. The station felt hot. The bored Sergeant Miller was not bored anymore. He was talking into a phone, his voice low. "Yes, she's here." She walked right in. Murder. Arthur. Her Arthur. The man who cried during sad movies. The man who couldn't bait his own fishing hook. It was impossible. He was a thief, yes. Liar. But a killer. The world was spinning, and Mary was holding on, trying not to be thrown off. "Ma'am," Sergeant Miller said, his voice gentle now. "Detective Kincaid will see you. This way." A man in a wrinkled suit met them. He looked tired. His name was Detective Kincaid. He didn't smile. He led Mary away from the bright, loud front desk. They walked down a long, green-painted hallway. The floor was shiny, and her shoes squeaked. It was the only sound. He opened a door. The room was small and gray, with no windows. It had a metal table and 3 chairs. It was the kind of room she saw on TV shows. "Mrs. Beatty, please sit down. Can I get you some water?" Mary sat, but she shook her head. She couldn't drink. She couldn't swallow. She felt like she was trapped in a box. "Mrs. Beatty," Kincaid said, sitting across from her. He opened a small notebook. His voice was calm. "When was the last time you saw your husband, Arthur Beatty?" Mary had to think. The nursing home, the safe. It all felt like a year ago. 3 days ago, she said. Her voice was a small squeak. He said he was going fishing. In Wisconsin. With friends. As she said the words, they tasted like poison. She knew they were lies. She felt stupid. Like a child who had believed a fairy tale. "It was normal," she added, mostly to herself. He always did that." The detective just nodded, writing in his book. "And who did he go with?" Mary frowned. His friends. From the factory. "Oh, Mike." She said their names, but for the first time she realized she had never met them. In 45 years, he had fishing buddies she had never ever seen. Kincaid looked up. "Mrs. Beatty, who is dead. You said, murder. Who did Arthur? Who did they find?" The detective looked down at his notes. "We found a man 2 days ago. In his car, in an industrial lot near the old factories. His name was George T. Welliver. Does that name mean anything to you?" Mary searched her mind. George T. Welliver. Well, she had never heard that name. Sounded like a lawyer. Or a banker. "No," she said. "I don't know him. I've never heard that name in my life. Who is he?" Detective Kincaid leaned forward. His eyes were not mean, but they were heavy. "He was a private investigator, Mrs. Beatty. A PI." Mary's blood turned to ice. A private investigator. Why would Arthur be near a private investigator? Was Arthur hiring him? Or was the investigator following Arthur? Or was he following her? Private eye. This changes everything. The game is bigger than a cheating husband. It's bigger than stolen money. Why would Arthur, a simple factory worker, be mixed up with a PI? Unless the PI found out about the money. Found out about Clara. And Arthur. Did Arthur silence him? "Detective," Mary said, her hand shaking. She pulled her phone from her pocket. "I don't know this dead man. I think I'm in danger. Got this text. Right before I came here. It's why I came." She pushed the phone across the table. Kincaid picked it up and read the message. "You are in terrible danger. He is not who you think he is. Go to the police. Now." The detective's face went hard. "Who sent this?" he asked. "I don't know," Mary whispered. "The number. It's just unknown. It's gone." "There's more," Mary said. The dam inside her broke. The words came flooding out. She told him everything. The empty safe. The $480,000 transfer. Her sister Clara. The nursing home. The lie about her having cancer. And then the worst part. "My son," she choked out, a tear finally falling. "His name is David. He lives in New York. Arthur used him. He told David I was sick. David is good with computers. He helped his father move the money. He thought he was helping me." Kincaid stopped writing. He looked up, his eyes sharp. And where is your son now, Mrs. Beatty? Mary's voice broke. He's gone. I tried to call him. His phone. It's disconnected. He's vanished, detective. Just like the money. He's a good boy. He wouldn't run. I think Arthur took him. Or he's hurt. Kincaid stood up fast. Mrs. Beatty, your son isn't a suspect. He's a witness. And he's in danger. He walked to the door and yelled, Miller, get a missing persons alert out on a David Beatty. New York plates. Ping his last known cell tower. Now. He came back and sat down. He looked at Mary. The factory. You said Arthur knew bad people from the factory? That's what your sister said. Mary nodded, wiping her face. Yes. People who move things. She said he owed them. Kincaid looked down at his notepad. He looked at the dead man's name. George T. Welliver. He looked back at Mary. Mrs. Beatty, that private investigator. He wasn't hired by a person. He was hired by a company. He was hired by the pension fund at the exact same factory where your husband worked for 30 years. They've been investigating a massive internal fraud for 6 months. Mary felt dizzy. Fraud. Like stealing. Kincaid leaned in. Like millions of dollars, Mrs. Beatty. Millions of dollars stolen from the retirement accounts of every worker in that factory. Your husband wasn't just a suspect in that fraud case. He was their only suspect. And now the man investigating him is dead. Mary's mind flashed back. The safe. The $480,000. That was just her money. That was just their money. How much more was there? But he's a factory worker, she whispered. He's not smart enough for that. Kincaid tapped his pen. He wasn't. But your son is, isn't he? You said he's good with computers. Mary's hands flew to her mouth. No, she said. The word was a gasp, a prayer. Not David. You are wrong, detective. He is not a thief. He is a good boy. He loves me. The room was small, but Mary felt like she was miles away, watching herself talk. She was a mother. She knew her son. David was the boy who mowed their lawn. He was the boy who called her every Sunday. He was not a criminal. He was a victim. Just like her. He was a fool. A sweet, trusting fool who believed his father. Kincaid's eyes were kind, but his voice was hard. Mrs. Beatty. Mary, think. You said he's good with computers. This wasn't a guy with a gun robbing a bank. This was a ghost in the wires. Someone moved millions of dollars bit by bit for 6 months. They hid it. They made it vanish. Your husband can't do that. He can barely send an email. But David could. He let the words hang in the gray, airless room. He thought he was saving me, Mary whispered, her last bit of hope. Arthur lied. He told David I was sick. He was helping his father save his mother. The detective wrote that down. That's good. I hope that's true, ma'am. For his sake. But Mary saw the look on his face. The doubt. And a new, terrible thought hit her. Memory. 2 months ago. David had called her. He was so happy. He said he landed a big freelance client. He had paid off his student loans. All of them. In one day. He said the client paid very well. She had been so proud. Now that memory felt dirty. Was Arthur his big client? Was her retirement money the big payment? Oh God. Had her son known? Was he a victim or was he a partner? Have you ever had a moment where your whole past changes? A good memory. Happy phone call. And then one new fact. One new terrible fact. Makes it all turn black. Mary is not just losing her husband. She is losing her son. She is losing herself. We need to find them, Kincaid said, his voice pulling her back. Your husband is a murder suspect. And your son. He is a key witness. Or more. Where would they go? Does Arthur have a place? A cabin? You said a fishing trip. Mary tried to think. He always said up north. He said Wisconsin. A place called Badger Creek. She felt so stupid. I've never been. He always said it was a men-only trip. Just him and the guys from the factory. Joe and Mike. Kincaid wrote it down. Joe and Mike. Do you have last names? Mary shook her head. No. In 45 years. I never met them. The detective's face did not change, but Mary felt the judgment. She was the wife who asked no questions. The wife who just trusted. It's okay, Mrs. Beatty. I'm guessing Badger Creek isn't real. And Joe and Mike aren't real either. He was building a wall of lies for decades. This wasn't new. This was just the end. These bad people your sister mentioned, Kincaid said, changing the subject. The ones he owed. We think the fraud at the factory. Arthur wasn't working alone. He was stealing for someone dangerous. And we think the PI, Mr. Welliver, he got too close. He wasn't just investigating Arthur. He was investigating who Arthur worked for. And these people, they don't leave witnesses. They don't like loose ends. Mary's blood ran cold. Loose ends. David. And me. Kincaid stood up. The interview was over. Your husband is a desperate man, Mary. He is wanted for fraud. He is wanted for murder. He is tied to very dangerous people. And he is missing. We can't let you go home. It's the first place he would look if he needs to. If he needs to, Mary thought. If he needs to silence me. Her own husband. You're going to a safe house, Kincaid said. A motel. 2 of my officers will be outside your door. You are not to call anyone. You are not to leave. You are a witness. We have to protect you. Mary felt numb. She was in the back of a plain blue police car. She was driving away from the station. She had nothing. No purse. No money. No home. Just the clothes she was wearing. She was 65 years old, and she was a prisoner. She was being protected from the man she had loved since she was 20. She looked out the window. Chicago looked like a strange city. A place she had never seen before. She was not a wife. She was not a nurse. She was just nothing. The car stopped at a red light. Kincaid was in the front passenger seat. His police radio was quiet. Then his cell phone rang. He picked it up. Kincaid. He listened. Mary watched his face in the rearview mirror. His eyes went wide. He said nothing. He just listened. Where? He finally said. Are you sure? Bae. I'm on my way. He hung up the phone. He was very, very still. He turned around in his seat to look at her. His face was pale. Mary, he said, and his voice was different. It was filled with pity. We found Arthur's car. The one he took on his fishing trip. It was parked at O'Hare Airport. In the long-term lot. So he ran. Mary whispered. He's gone. Kincaid shook his head. That's not all, Mary. He bought a one-way ticket to Cancun, Mexico. Left 3 days ago. The day he went fishing. Mary felt a tiny, strange flicker of hope. He was gone. He was in Mexico. He couldn't hurt her. But, Detective, Kincaid said, his voice low. The airline confirmed. He bought 2 tickets. And 2 people checked in for that flight. Arthur. And his son, David. 2 tickets. The words hung in the police car. To Cancun. Mary's brain split in 2. One half, the nurse, was cold. It just processed the facts. He took the money. He took the son. He ran. The other half, the mother, was screaming. A silent, terrible scream that had no sound. David was not a victim. He was a partner. That happy phone call. I paid off my student loans, Mom. He had paid them with her money. With her 43 years of cleaning bedpans and holding the hands of the dying. The betrayal from her son cut deeper than the betrayal from her husband. It was the final wound. The car stopped. Mary looked out the window. They were not at a hotel. They were at a motel. The Sunrise Inn. The sign was old and plastic. The S in Sunrise was flickering a sad, weak pink. This was a place for people who had nowhere else to go. Place for secrets and sad stories. "This is it," Detective Kincaid said. His voice was tired. "Room 104. My officers, Tierney and Cole, are in that car. They will be right outside your door all night. You are safe here." Mary almost laughed. She would never be safe again. Kincaid opened the door with a plastic keycard. The room smelled like cigarettes and strong, cheap cleaning spray. There was one bed with a thin, brown blanket. A small, dark television was bolted to the wall. A single lamp gave off a weak, yellow light. "We'll get you some clean clothes and some food," Kincaid said. He looked around the sad little room. "Mary, I know this is hard. But you need to listen. Arthur and David are gone. They are in Mexico. We can't touch them easily. But the people Arthur stole from, they are still right here in Chicago." Mary's head snapped up. She looked at the detective. "The bad people from the factory." Kincaid nodded. His face was very serious. "He didn't just steal your retirement, Mary. He stole their money too. Millions. He used his sick sister as an excuse. He used his own son as a computer expert. And then he ran, leaving everyone else behind to clean up the mess. These are not kind people. They just lost a lot of money. And they are going to look for it. And they think I have it," Mary said. It wasn't a question. It was a fact. They think I knew. They think I'm part of it. Kincaid's silence was her answer. "That's why you're here. They will go to your house. They will tear it apart. They will look for account numbers, for keys, for anything. And if they don't find it there, they will come looking for you. You are the last person who spoke to him. You are the only loose end he left behind. You do not leave this room. You do not open this door." The detective left. Mary heard the click of the lock. She was a prisoner. She was 65 years old, and she was in a cheap motel room, hiding from criminals, while her husband and son were on a beach in Mexico. She sat on the edge of the hard bed. The brown blanket felt like sandpaper. She did not cry. The tears were gone. The sadness was gone. There was only cold. Deep, clear cold. She had been a victim. She had been a fool. She had been boring Mary. Now she was just angry. What happens when you take everything from a good person? When you strip away their past, their money, and their family? Do they break? Do they fall? Or do they become something new? Something hard? Mary was a nurse. She saved lives. But that person was gone. The woman sitting in this motel room was someone else. A woman with nothing left to lose. She thought about her house. The house she had dusted for 45 years. Kincaid was right. The bad people would go there. But so would the police. They were all looking for something. But they were men. They were strangers. They didn't know the house. She knew the house. She knew every creak. She knew every loose floorboard. She knew every place a lazy, stupid man like Arthur would hide something. Arthur was not a genius. He was just a coward. He would have left a trail. He was too arrogant. He knew she would never look. A new feeling started in Mary's stomach. It was a plan. She had to go back. She had to get there before the bad people. The police were looking for murder clues. The criminals were looking for their money. But Mary was looking for her life. She was looking for justice. What if Arthur left something? A bank slip. Password. A different key. He thought he was free. He was on a beach. He was laughing at her. But he had made a mistake. She knew he had. She looked at the phone on the small table by the bed. Kincaid had said, "Do not answer the phone." He didn't say she couldn't use it. She picked up the heavy plastic. She dialed 0. A sleepy voice said, "Front desk." "This is room 104, Mary said. Her voice was not shaky. It was strong. "I need you to get the officers outside my door. Tell them to call Detective Kincaid. Right now." Tell him. Tell him I just remembered. I know where Arthur keeps his other set of books. The ones he hid from everyone. It was a total lie. But it was a lie that would get her back in that house. Mary's heart was a cold stone in her chest. This was the first time she had ever truly lied to the police. Felt too easy. Felt necessary. She heard a heavy knock on the motel room door. Mrs. Beatty. It was the voice of one of the officers. You called the desk. What's this about some books? Mary opened the door but only a few inches, leaving the chain on. You must call Detective Kincaid. Right now, she said. Her voice was strong. I just remembered. Arthur. He kept other records. Not just for the bank. Secret ones. He called them his real books. I know where he hid them. They are at the house. The officer, Tierney, stared at her through the crack. He was trying to decide if she was a scared old woman or a smart one. He turned and spoke into the radio on his shoulder. Sir, the witness says she knows where Beatty kept a second set of books. At the house. Mary held her breath. The radio crackled. Kincaid's voice came through, sounding tired and angry. A wild goose chase. Fine. Bring her. 2 officers with her at all times. She doesn't touch anything. We go in, we find these books. And we leave. Tell her she has 10 minutes. That's it. Tierney looked at Mary. Let's go, ma'am. Back to your house. The ride was quiet. Mary sat in the back of the police car like a criminal. She was driving to the home she had bought with 43 years of work. But it wasn't her home. It was a place of lies. A cold, empty box where a stranger had lived. She thought about Arthur and David. On a beach. In Cancun. Spending her money. Laughing at her. The boring good Mary. That thought was like gasoline on a fire. The sadness was gone. The shock was gone. Only a cold, hard anger was left. She was not a victim anymore. She was a hunter. When they turned onto her street, Mary's stomach dropped. It was not her quiet, dark street. There were 2 police cars parked on her lawn, their lights flashing, painting the trees red and blue. Bright yellow tape was stretched across her front porch. Police line do not cross. It was a wound. A big yellow scar on her life. Her neighbors were watching. Hiding behind their curtains. The quiet nurse, Mary Beatty, was now a public show. Detective Kincaid was waiting at the curb. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Mary, he said, this better be real. My team has been in there for hours. If there were books, we would have them. He didn't call them books, Mary said, walking toward her own front door. This was the next part of her lie. It was his safety box. That's what he called it. Small metal box. It's where he kept things. Passwords. Numbers. Things he didn't want me to see. Kincaid sighed, but he nodded. He knew men like Arthur. Arrogant. Lazy. Where? He demanded. Mary stepped under the yellow tape. She was back. She walked into her own living room. It was a disaster. The police had torn it apart. Cushions were on the floor. Drawers were pulled out. They were looking for evidence of a murder. Mary was looking for evidence of a life. The den, Mary said. She walked past the officers. They saw a small old woman. They saw a victim. They did not see the fire inside her. The den was worse. Arthur's big, ugly recliner was flipped on its side. The books were all over the floor. Mary, we looked, Kincaid said, his voice flat. There's nothing here. Mary ignored him. They were men. They were police. They were looking for criminal things. Mary was a wife. She was looking for stupid things. She knew her husband. He was lazy. He was arrogant. He would not hide a secret in a hard place. He would hide it in a proud place. Her eyes scanned the room. The messy desk. The walls. And then she saw it. The wall next to his desk. It was his shrine. Dozens of pictures of their son, David. David in a baseball uniform. David at his first communion. David. Arthur was so proud. He worshipped his son. The son who had just helped him steal $500,000 and run to Mexico. The son who had paid off his student loans with her pension. The anger was so hot it felt like a fever. Kincaid was watching her. "Mrs. Beatty, it's just pictures. We've looked behind them." Mary walked right up to the wall. "I know," she whispered. She looked at all the smiling faces of her lying son. Then her eyes locked on one. The biggest one. An 8x10 photo of David at his high school graduation. It was in a heavy, thick silver frame. Arthur loved this frame. He was always polishing it. Always making sure it was straight. He touched it every single day. He thought it was his trophy. "Mary, we have to go," Kincaid said. "There is nothing." Mary did not listen. She put her hands on the heavy silver frame. The other officers looked. They thought she was just a sad mother. But her fingers, the strong, sure fingers of a nurse, weren't feeling the frame. They were feeling the back of it. The black velvet backing. She felt a small, hard bump. Something that wasn't supposed to be there. Something under the velvet. "What is that?" Kincaid asked, stepping closer. Mary didn't answer. She used her fingernail. She dug it under the corner of the velvet backing. It was glued, but it was loose. He had been in here. He had been in here often. The velvet tore with a soft, ripping sound. And something small and metal fell out. It bounced on the desk with a tink. It was not a book. It was not a password. It was a key. A small silver key. It was not for a house. It was not for a car. It had a number stamped on it. 312. And a small blue plastic tag. Kincaid picked it up. "What is this?" Mary took it from his hand. She turned it over. On the tag, in Arthur's messy handwriting, was one word. "Locker." And an address. An address for the Greyhound bus station downtown. Detective Kincaid looked at the small key. Then he looked at Mary. He wasn't looking at a poor, sad victim anymore. He was looking at a partner. "A bus station locker," he said. His voice was low. "Classic. He runs to the airport, but he leaves his insurance in a bus station. He thinks he's smart. He thinks we'd never look here." Mary said nothing. She just held the key. It was cold. Felt like a piece of a puzzle. A puzzle of a man she had never known. "Let's go," Kincaid said. "Now. Tierney Cole, you're with us. The rest of you finish here. Bag everything." They did not use sirens. It was a silent, fast drive through the city. Mary sat in the back of the car. She watched the buildings of Chicago go by. She had lived here her whole life. She had never felt so alone. She was a ghost, haunting her own city. "Mary," Kincaid said, looking at her in the mirror. "You need to be ready. We don't know what's in this locker. Could be cash. Could be documents. Could be a trap. These bad people Arthur was mixed up with. They might know about this key too. You stay behind me." Mary just nodded. She was not afraid. She was far past fear. She was just empty. And in that empty space, a cold, hard plan was starting to grow. The Greyhound bus station was loud. It smelled like diesel fuel, fried food, and dirty floors. It was filled with people. People running away from their lives. People running toward new ones. Mary felt like she blended in for the first time. She was also running. But she was running toward the fire. Kincaid and the two officers, Tierney and Cole, walked close to her. They looked like a wall of protection. They moved past the long lines of tired people. They found the wall of gray metal lockers. "Okay, here it is," Kincaid said. He pointed. 300 row. They walked down the line. 310. 311. 312. It was a small square locker near the floor. It looked old. It looked forgotten. "Stand back, everyone," Kincaid said. He pulled on rubber gloves. He put his ear to the cold metal, listening. He was listening for a tick. For a bomb. Mary held her breath. The station was loud, but in her world it was completely silent. There was only the sound of her own heart. Lump, lump, lump. Kincaid looked at her. The key, Mary. She handed it to him. Her hand was perfectly steady. He pushed the key into the lock. It was stiff. He had to force it. Then there was a loud, echoing click. The sound was sharp, cut through the noise of the station. The small metal door popped open just an inch. Kincaid pulled his gun. He pointed it at the dark hole. He used a small pen to pull the door open the rest of the way. He looked inside. Then he looked back at Mary. "Well," he said, "it's not a bomb." Mary pushed past him. She had to see. She knelt on the dirty floor and looked into the dark locker. There was only one thing inside. It was not money. It was not gold. It was an old, worn, brown leather briefcase. Mary knew it. Her stomach turned over. It was her father's briefcase. The one he had carried to his office for 30 years. After he died, Arthur had wanted to throw it away. "It's old junk, Mary," he had said. But she had kept it. She had hidden it in the back of her closet. He had gone into her things. He had taken it. He had used it. Kincaid pulled the briefcase out. He laid it on the floor and opened the snaps. "He's arrogant," Kincaid said. "Using your father's bag. It's a message. He's laughing at you." Mary said nothing. She just stared. Inside the briefcase was not paper. It was a new, thin, silver laptop computer. It was not Arthur's old, slow machine. This was expensive. This was David's. Her son. Her good smart boy. He wasn't just a partner. He was the engine. He was the brain. Arthur was just the driver. On top of the laptop was a white envelope. Kincaid picked it up, handling it by the edges. Mary's heart stopped. Was it for her? Was it a letter? An apology? An explanation? "Dear Mary." Kincaid turned the envelope over. Mary's last bit of hope died. It was not her name. The name on the envelope, in Arthur's messy writing, was one word. Clara. It was for her sister. Not her. Not his son. He was planning to betray everyone. He was running with David, but he was sending his secrets to Clara. Kincaid opened the laptop. Powered on instantly. No password. "Smart kid, dumb father," Kincaid muttered. The screen was empty, except for one single folder on the desktop. The folder was named Insurance. Kincaid clicked it. The folder opened. It was full of files. Dozens of files. Not spreadsheets. Not bank numbers. They were audio files. And video files. "What is this?" Kincaid said. "It's a black box." He was recording. Everything. Insurance. Insurance against who? Against the bad people. Against Clara. Against David. He was at war with the whole world. Kincaid looked at Mary. This changes the whole game. He clicked on the first video file. The file was named George T.W., the private investigator. The murdered man. The screen flickered. It was dark, filmed from the inside of a car. Mary could see the dashboard. She heard voices. One was Arthur's. The other was a stranger. "You got your money," the stranger's voice said. "Now just tell me. Who else knows?" There was a pause. Then Arthur's voice. Cold. Clear. "No one," Arthur said. "She's just a stupid nurse. She doesn't suspect a thing." Kincaid hit pause. He looked at Mary. He wasn't running from the PI. He was meeting with him. The laptop screen glowed in the dim bus station. Mary stared at her husband's face on the video file. He was laughing. "Just a stupid nurse," he said. The words echoed in her ears. Detective Kincaid hit pause. He looked at Mary, and his eyes were angry for her. "He's not smart, Mary. He's just cruel. And cruel, arrogant men. They always make mistakes." He clicked on the next file. It was an audio file. The name was Clara. He hit play. Mary heard her sister's weak, scratchy voice. "But what about David? He's in Mexico with you. What happens to him?" Then she heard Arthur's laugh. It was a cold, empty sound. David. David is the computer boy. He did his job. He moved the money. But he's weak. He's your son, Mary. Just off. He'll be a problem. Once the accounts are safe, I'll tell him I'm going fishing. And I'll just leave him there. He's a smart kid. He'll find his own way home. Or he won't. Mary's body went completely cold. He was going to do it again. He was going to abandon his own son, his good boy, in a foreign country, just like he had abandoned her. He was a monster who loved no one. The text, Mary whispered. Her mind was suddenly clear. The fog was gone. The text I got. You are in terrible danger. Go to the police. It wasn't from a stranger. It was from David. He must have found out. He must have realized his father was a killer. He was trying to warn me. Right before Arthur took his phone and disconnected him. He is a good boy. He was just scared. Kincaid nodded slowly. He was in too deep. He helped his father steal. And then he saw his father murder a man. He looked at the briefcase. He had found the truth. Kincaid picked up the white envelope. The one with Clara written on it. He tore it open. Inside was a single piece of paper, a printout from a bank. It was a bank in the Cayman Islands. It had an account number. And a password. The password was Marygirl818. Mary felt sick. He was using her pet name. The name he called her when they were young. He was using it as the key to his new life with her sister. He was mocking her even from thousands of miles away. It was the final twisted knife. He's a fool, Kincaid said, his voice hard. He looked at the laptop. This account. It's just one account. There's only $50,000 in it. He was lying to Clara too. This was her allowance. He was betraying everyone. Kincaid went back to the laptop. He saw the last file in the insurance folder. It was named Life. Kincaid clicked it. Password box popped up. Kincaid looked at Mary. He's arrogant, Mary. What's the one thing he really thinks of you? What did he call you on that video? Mary looked at the screen and her voice was not weak. It was cold steel. A stupid nurse. Kincaid typed. Stupidnurse. He hit enter. The file opened. It was not one account. It was a list. 6 bank accounts. Switzerland. Singapore. Dubai. A waterfall of numbers. Millions and millions of dollars. All of it. The factory pension fund. Her retirement. Everything. He had lied to David. He had lied to Clara. This laptop, hidden in his son's picture frame, was the only copy. He was the only one who knew the real password. He trusted no one. He thought he was the smartest man in the world. We've got him, Kincaid said. He pulled out his phone. We've got everything. His voice was loud now. Get me the feds. Get me the State Department. Get me the Mexican Federal Police. Have the accounts. Have the passwords. I have video evidence of the murder plan. I know the hotel. El Sol Resort. In Cancun. Shut it all down. Now. The wheels of justice, which had been so slow, suddenly began to move at the speed of light. Mary just sat on the bus station floor watching. The ending. It came fast. Arthur and David were arrested on a beach. They were holding bright blue drinks. They never saw it coming. Clara was arrested in her hospital bed, screaming that she was the victim. But the laptop had her voice too, planning to steal. The bad people from the factory. They were arrested too. Arthur had recorded them as insurance. He gave the police everything they needed. He was a snake who ate his own tail. And Mary, she got her money back. The police froze the accounts. The factory workers got their pension money back. It was all there. Mary went to court. She wore a simple blue dress. She watched as Arthur was given life in prison for murder and theft. She watched as her son, David, was given 5 years for helping. He had been a victim. But he had also been a partner. He looked at her. Mom! He cried. Mary just looked at him. She did not cry. She did not yell. She just stood up and walked out of the courtroom. She left her old life behind forever. 6 months later. The air is warm and clear. Smells like dust and pine trees. A woman is standing at the edge of the world. It is Mary Beatty. She is standing at the Grand Canyon. The sun is just starting to rise, and it is painting the giant rocks red and orange and purple. Behind her is a new, shiny RV. She is alone. But for the first time in her life, she is not lonely. She is free. She takes a deep breath. She smiles. It is a real smile. She found out what her husband was hiding. And it did break her. But the one thing he forgot. A nurse knows how to fix what is broken. If Mary's story touched your heart, if you believe that good people, quiet people, strong people deserve to win, please take 1 second and like this video. Share it with someone who needs to see that it's never too late. And please subscribe to our channel. Your support is what gives a voice to people like Mary. It shows the world that you can be broken, but you can always rebuild.